Hello and welcome to the FPL show, episode 2. We are going to go through the winner's loser this week in our little mini FPL draft and who might be a good addition to your FPL and who might be a risk that you shouldn't maybe put out at this point. Oh, that was a horrible intro, but we move. If you like the content, please have a like and subscribe. That really helps us out. And yeah, let's get into it. I'm with the boys as usual, and now
hello.
We are going to go through the winner of the week. Right, the winner of this week was Ellis with this team, which from this team, I am going to name the title of this, It Pays to Be Basic, because the only reason you've done well is because you've got two expensive players that everyone's put in, and I sort of wanted to break the mould and go, I'm going to be interested and unique, and you're going to go, oh no, I'm going to do whatever I want to do.
Thing is, Sam, I've decided that I want to win, so I thought I'll pick the best players who are going to get the most points, and it sort of worked for me in this first week. I think. Would you concur?
I would agree. You got double the points I did. None of the gambles I did that usually come off have come off. But I'm not making changes this week. At least I don't think so yet. As of recording on the Thursday, I'm not going to make any changes because I trust in this team. I just think they had an off week and your reliance on Salah and Bruno Fernandes because you've got no points between the rest of your players apart from Antonio.
And Ings.
Of any note, really.
And Alexander-Arnold. It's gone all right. I've got quite a few points on my bench as well, to be fair. Imagine if I'd have put Raya in goal and Simicast instead of Keeper or Shaw.
You didn't, so it doesn't freaking matter, does it?
I'd have been like 100 plus. It would have been amazing.
You've done terribly here.
That is the one change you're going to make this week. I don't know if we're going to get onto that, but I'm going to bring in Simicast for Kufal.
Okay, going off Simicast already. That's fair.
No, I'm putting Simicast in.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, right, as in subs, okay, not transfers.
Yeah.
I think that's a decent. I think that's a decent change. Obviously, I think the double up on Liverpool's defence is pretty decent. Who do West Ham play?
I can't remember.
Leicester.
That's fair. That's fair. Jacq, do you have anything else to say on Ellis's win this week?
I think the most important thing is that I have got the nicest score.
Yes, he's got the sex number.
Yeah, baby. I've got
I did enjoy that message you sent to us, Sam, which was like, Ellis, I've had a really good week. Sam, I've had a really bad week. Jacq, nice.
I think Jack's the real winner of this week. I think we should put Jack's team on for being the real winner of the week by getting 69.
I think morally I'm the winner, in our heart of hearts.
Immorally.
Unhygienically,
I'm having a very moral 69. Thank you.
I'm doing it, but I'm thinking about charity at the same time.
Right, let's go on to the other big points totals this week. Ignore the first two, we already talked about them, Fernando and Salah. They just milked this week. Pogba's an interesting one. I know Jacq has already transferred him into his team. I don't think it's a good transfer to make.
I'm jumping on the bandwagon.
Because I think it's very like Willian vibes. Because I remember the first game of last season, he got like 2 goals and an assist. And I think Pogba is the same way. He might continue to get some points. But I think Pogba's not going to take those returns often. And maybe not, obviously not those returns. But I don't think he'll return that often as he has done. This suggests.
I think the fact that United do have 3 quite good fixtures coming up, they've got Southampton away, Wolves away, and Newcastle at home. I think the transfer to make this week was to bring in a Man United player of some pedigree, and obviously I couldn't really afford to bring in Fernandes unless I took out Salah. And I'd rather just keep Salah.
Yeah, I don't see the problem with a Man United player, but I don't think Pogba is the one that's going to continue points. I think there'll be a lot of games where he just doesn't get anything, and he's maybe more of a deep-lying creative thing, and he doesn't necessarily get the direct goals and assists. He might do well in play in the build-up, but I don't think the goals and assists he's not going to get to the level he has now.
Probably not.
To be fair, I think he is quite good for assists. He has got a great eye for a pass.
The other thing I see, Ellis, and I just wanted to put this to you, do you think Chelsea are a good thing to back, especially their defence? Because obviously we've got Alonso here with 15 points already. Is Shabola, he's a midfielder or is he a defender?
Chabola's, I think Chabola's a midfielder, yeah. And he came off the bench.
I thought he was playing at centre-back. He started at centre-back.
No, I'm pretty sure he's a centre midfielder, right? anybody came. I think also didn't he come off the bench? I'm not sure what the Chelsea team was at the weekend. I'm not sure who started, but whatever happened, he scored a great goal. I think he must have got an assist as well. So yeah, Chelsea might be pretty good to back this season, but I think trying to fit them in your team, there's better defensive options like Liverpool and Man United with those attacking fullbacks who maybe get more assists.
Chabot started in defence. He started in defence.
Did he?
Yeah.
From right back?
Potentially in defence.
Well, Chelsea played 3 centre-backs. They played Chabot, Christensen and Rudiger, with Azpilicueta and Alonso as wing-backs.
Okay, Jacq, so do you think Chelsea defence is a good thing to put in on?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think next week I try and bring in a Chelsea defender, whether it's Alonso, whether it's Azpilicueta, because I mean you do tend to go for wing backs, don't you?
Obviously, I'm looking at the danger marker they put on the FPL. Obviously, they've put Arsenal at 4, even though it's probably not going to be a danger marker of a 4. Yeah. But they do after that have Liverpool, Villa, obviously with a lot of attacking signings, Spurs and Man City. So defensive output in there might not do well.
So maybe wait until that period of, because after Man City, they then have Southampton, Brentford, Norwich, Newcastle, Burnley.
Yeah, and I was going to say, they
have
that
5
period,
really good fixtures after that kind of really bad spell.
Yeah, like that period of games where they're going to might be under the cosh a little bit. If they defend well, and that's quite a few weeks into the season, then that might be sort of like a wild card time. And if their defence is doing well, even if their attack, you might do well bringing a few Chelsea players in. I've also noticed, like, obviously Brentford won their game, but the Brentford centre-back, Ethan Pinnock, for 4.5 million, getting 11 points. That's pretty good. That's a great return on a very cheap defender.
There's a few Brentford outlets. So Pinnock and Canos are also quite well valued, and Canos obviously playing in an attacking Brentford side, so that might be a decent option, a good differential, as it were. Not for us, because we all just said might as well get Canos, but for your own leagues.
And to be fair, Brentford do have Brentford fixtures coming up. They've got Palace away, Villa away, Brighton at home, and Wolves away. In terms of teams to be playing, that's quite a decent spell. But then the 4 games after that are Liverpool, West Ham, Chelsea, Leicester. So I think the time to bring in Brentford players is pretty sharpish, which doesn't really reflect very well on me because I've just brought out Mbeumo. But for Pogba. Because I did have quite a lot of money on the side.
Okay, so
but,
in conclusion, we're going for Chelsea defenders might be a decent option, and also Brentford have a decent run of fixtures. They might be an option to bring in those cheap differentials.
I think so Man United players, Brentford players, Chelsea defenders in about a month.
Yeah, so let's move on to transfers in. Talking about transfers, Jacq, of bringing in Pogba, it seems everyone else has as well.
I'm a very original thinker.
I obviously have already said about this. I don't think the Pogba thing is going to be that consistent a points earner. I think he plays far too deep. I think it's more relying on Fernandes and hopefully Sancho when he eventually comes in. I was hoping he was coming in this week, but he didn't. Hoping against whoever they play next, it will be Sancho coming in and he continue what he did for Borussia Dortmund. But Lukaku, despite not playing a minute yet, has also come in. Would you bring in Lukaku, Ellis? Or do you want to see how he does first?
I'd want to see how he does. And because coming back into a new team, I think it always usually, especially with strikers, might take a bit of time to get used to the team you're playing in. And also, he's going to be, what is he, about 9 million, 10 million?
11.5.
11.5 million.
Yeah, he's very expensive.
To bring him in after the first week, I assume all those people might have had Kane in their team, or they've done a lot of reshuffling and taken points hits already. Again, like we said earlier with Chelsea, maybe like a wildcard thing further down the line. That's when you bring him in rather than straight away. Interesting that a lot of people bought in Tsimikas after the genius that is me decided to whack him in the team in the first week.
Everyone else I think the ownership on him was huge already.
Well, to be fair, El, me and you both had him in, but we both had him on our bench.
Yeah, true. Maybe it wasn't.
So we did foul up a little bit.
This is also very reactionary, isn't it? Like
it always is. It always is because people are panicking and making changes until they have a settled team. Because when people make their team, you don't see. After when they realise it's a bad mistake, they then put people in who have been consistent and will probably continue to be consistent through the rest of the season. There's a lot of
the one that stands out for me. The one that stands out for me on that list is Dennis from Watford. Yeah, he had a good game against Villa, got a goal, but he's also picked up a knock, and nearly 200,000 people have transferred him in when he might not start next week. Like that's a waste of a transfer.
It's a waste of a transfer, but then you've got to think of is this value offsetting, because he's 5 million, so it might be to bring someone else in. That's the main thing. I think necessarily for someone who it's a knock. It usually players do play when there's been a knock, especially when there's a week rest in place. That's just them putting it there just in case he doesn't start because of it. But genuinely, probably will start. And I think for 5 million, you can't really go wrong with someone who's starting up front for any Premier League team, really, especially when Watford look so good for scoring goals against Villa.
I would love to have a conversation with one of those 14,807 people who, after Fernandes getting a hat-trick on the first game back, have transferred him out of their team. As far as I'm concerned, that is absolute lunacy.
I reckon those 14,000 people, a lot of them might have bought Lukaku in, or maybe Pogba as well.
And that's interesting as well. Lukaku's the third most transferred player in, but unlike this, he's also comfortably the most transferred out player on that list, with 52,000 people bringing him out, but 290,000 bringing him in. That is so odd.
Well, sorry, yeah.
Go on.
I think it just piques the reactionariness of just everyone within FPL at the moment. And I think eventually we'll see settled teams, and won't see people being chop and changed on a whim on the basis of, I don't think he's going to do well next week or this week. I think eventually when we get consistency, there'll be a bit more less radical changes from people. But speaking of game week transfers out, let's look at the transfer out list. Well, speaking about the transfers out, this is the transfers out list, which is basically a list of players who just haven't started or haven't performed. Big name transfers: Sancho, Grealish, White, who just were expected to get points from the offset and just haven't, or just haven't started in Sancho's case. What do you think, Ellis? Are you surprised by anyone on the list, or would you have held on hope? Would you have held out hope from some of these and not put them out as hastily?
A few of them, mostly sort of Saka, White and Bamford. Obviously, Bamford had a really difficult first game against Man City, but their fixtures are going to get better. Leeds are.
Man United.
Pardon?
Man United. Bamford played Man United. You said.
Yeah, I know, but they're going to get easier.
Right,
I mean,
okay.
And then obviously Ben White is his first game. They didn't defend very well. Maybe that's understandable, but he is really cheap. So unless you're bringing in, who else? We said Ethan Pinnock earlier performed well. So I reckon maybe a lot of people have gone for him instead. But Grealish, I sort of understand. He's quite an expensive option to have, and didn't perform amazingly. But again, it's Man City. They're going to improve, and he's probably going to get a few assists in the next few weeks. And then Saka. Again, surprising that he didn't start against Brentford, but he came on. But obviously, he got back late because he was in the European Championship final. And I think that he's going to start starting for Arsenal in the next few weeks, and they will almost definitely improve with him in the team.
I think the Saka one is maybe reactionary towards Brentford. They didn't get points, but also they've got Chelsea and Man City next.
Yeah.
So those are probably more worrisome things, and they obviously, if they aren't getting points against Brentford and he's not starting, you might as well swap him out for someone else. Especially when we've found a lot of players, especially in midfield in the attacking positions, that are decent value and can be changed out and in. But it's just a list of players who just haven't quite been going to start. People thought they were nailed on, but actually it turns out they aren't. So yeah. Jacq, do you have anything to say on this list?
I find it a bit depressing. I do have two of those players still. I've got Sancho in my starting 11, and I do have White on my bench. Although, to be fair, I can definitely see myself getting rid of White for a Brentford defender in the not so distant future. After these 4 games, I reckon I can see myself bringing in a Brentford defender. I'm also a little bit annoyed that I've just realised that on my bench for this week was Luke Ayling, who was the one player that actually did work. The one league that did well this week, scored an absolute worldie, and he was another player on my bench.
Yeah, as for Sancho, I think Sancho's going to come good eventually. I think he'll eventually start starting. They're not going to continue playing Greenwood or James on that right. So they're going to eventually.
They're going to drop James because Sancho is a right midfielder. I've brought in Sancho early because I think Sancho's going to be a slow burner. I'd rather have him in my team than try and have to like get him in by making
Shuffle him in after, yeah.
Take like a -4, bring out players that I don't want to take out players that I don't want to bring out. If I get him in now, I don't have to try and bring him in the future. And I had a feeling he wasn't going to, like feature that much in the opening game. But I thought, well, just in case he comes off the bench and gets a goal or something, I'll put him in there just on the safe side.
Yeah,
and obviously, he did Jacq fucking shit, of course. But yeah, I've got him in there definitely as a slow burner.
Yeah, I think Sancho's going to come good eventually. I think he's too good not to, in essence. And obviously they've got Southampton, Wolves, and Newcastle, and West Ham as well. So I think those are decent. These are decent things to get attacking returns in. Decent fixtures to get attacking returns in. Yeah, sorted. Well, boys, good to see you, and hopefully my name is up there next week and for every week responding.
No chance. I'm winning this year. It's my time.
Well, to be fair, last time in the domestic league I finished top, so I'm defending
domestic league. Fuck off.
I'm defending my title. Not very well, mind you, but I am defending it. So
Ellis only performs for England. He doesn't really perform for his club.
I got the international stage.
Yeah, he's not a club player. He's definitely he's one that turns up at the. You're the Paul Pogba of our fantasy. Yeah.
Okay.
But he started the season well, and so have I.
Thanks for joining us, guys, for the second episode of the FPL show. If you liked the episode, like and subscribe. We have more coming. And yeah, thank you for coming. Bye-bye.